Hi, my name is Mr. Eric, and I'm a staff here at Girls Inc. of Orange County, where we inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. Today, we're going to be reading a nice story to you called Miss Rumphius. It's about a woman who spends her whole life trying to think about a way to maybe make the world a more beautiful place. So let's jump in. Let's read this great book. And while we're reading it, be thinking about how could you maybe figure out how to make a world that's a more beautiful place. What could you do to make an impact as you live your life? All right, be thinking about that as we read this book. Before we start reading, though, I want to do the anatomy of this book. That means the pieces of this book. So what's this part called? Do you know? Yes, the front cover. And what's this part of the book called? Back cover. Yep. And this one right here, the spine. Yeah, just like the spine in your back holds all your bones together, this spine binds all of these pages together into the book so they don't fall out. And if you mess up the spine of the book, your pages are going to fall out. So don't want to do that. Be gentle with your books, okay? Books are really special. All right, we're going to get started with Miss Rumphius. So here's the front cover of the book. And on the front cover, we learned a few things. We learned that there is a story and pictures by Barbara Cooney, and she's going to be the illustrator here and the author. And then also we see a lot of things on the cover. Usually when they put stuff on the front cover, it means it's going to be important for the story. So we have some flowers, some trees, a lake, or maybe some water. Looks like a kitty cat, a house in the background, and it says winner of the American Book Award, which is one of the many awards that if you end up writing children's books, you could win an award. And this one won an award, which is really exciting. We have the title page, and it says Puffin Books, which is the people who made this. And look at these beautiful flowers. They're here again. Also have the publisher's notes, and the publisher's notes aren't super important, but they do tell us, you know, where the book was made, when it was published. Very interesting. The part I really want to talk to you about is this, the dedication. And the dedication is another part of the anatomy of a book. It's usually in most of our children's books. This one is in the front. Sometimes they're in the back. This one says to St. Nicholas, patron saint of children, sailors, and maidens. And it's also probably giving you a clue about this book. We are jumping into our story. Are you ready? Get comfortable. Our story, Miss Rumphius. The lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The lupine lady is little but old, but she has not always been that way. I know, she is my great aunt, and she told me so. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice, who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharves and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships and carving Indians out of wood to put in front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. Do you see those two women inside the room? Those are actually carvings out of wood. And if you look on the page with the ship, you'll find one of them on the front of the ship. And that is what's called a figurehead. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too want to go to faraway places. And when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That is all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there's a third thing you must do." "What's that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what it could be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework. And pretty soon she was grown up. Then my great Aunt Alice set out to do the three things she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home and went to live in another city, far from the sea and the salt air. There, she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her Miss Rumphius now. Have you ever been to a library? If you haven't, you need to go. Get a library card, you can check out books. It's the coolest thing, and it's free. Unless you forget to return the book. Don't forget to return the book. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped itself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. This is almost like a tropical isle, said Miss Rumphius. But not quite. So Miss Rumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked on long beaches, picking up beautiful shells. One day she met the Paparaja, king of a fishing village. You must be tired, he said. Come into my house and rest. So Miss Rumphius went in and met the Paparaja's wife. The Paparaja himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so that Miss Rumphius could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, the Paparaja gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which he had painted a bird of paradise and the words, "You will always remain in my heart." You will always remain in mine, too, said Miss Rumphius. My great-aunt, Miss Alice Rumphius, climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. She went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing and kangaroos jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. What a foolish thing to do, said Miss Rumphius. Well, I have certainly seen faraway places. Maybe it is time to find my place by the sea. And it was. And she did. From the porch of her new house, Miss Rumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. Miss Rumphius was almost perfectly happy. But there's still one more thing I have to do, she said. I have to do something to make the world more beautiful. But what? The world already is pretty nice, she thought, looking out over the ocean. The next spring, Miss Rumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground. She could see them from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. Lupines, said Miss Rumphius with satisfaction. I have always loved lupines the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers next year. But she was not able to. After a hard winter, spring came. Miss Rumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. One afternoon, she started to go up and over the hill, where she had not been for a long time. I don't believe my eyes, she cried when she got to the top. For there, on the other side of the hill, was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. It was the wind, she said as she knelt in delight. It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped. Then Miss Rumphius had a wonderful idea. What do you think that idea is? She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs. Now, I'm going to explain this. A catalog is something you look through to look for items that you can buy. We usually go to certain sites on the internet to buy things, but back then they didn't have that. So they had to use a book from a place that actually had things you could buy. And then you would send in a little letter and they would ship it back to you after you paid them. Very interesting. She sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seed. All that summer, Miss Rumphius Her pockets full of seeds wandered over fields and headlands, sowing lupines. She scattered seeds along the highways and down the country lanes. She flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt her anymore at all. Now, some people call her that crazy old lady. The next spring, there were lupines everywhere. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse and back of the church. Down in the hollows and along the stone walls grew these beautiful flowers. Miss Rumphius had done the third and most difficult thing of all. My great Aunt Alice, Miss Rumphius, is very old now. Her hair is very white. Every year there are more and more lupines. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupines. When she invites us in, they come in slowly. They think she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to the faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That is all very well, little Alice, said my aunt, but there is a third thing you must do. What is that? I asked. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I do not know yet what that can be. That's pretty much the end of our book. At the end, this is something very interesting. It is not in most books. It has a little bit of a note on how they did the artwork. And it says they were painted in acrylics with some colored pencils on fabric. Isn't that interesting? So that's how they made all these beautiful illustrations in Miss Rumphius. Make sure you check our YouTube page and come back for some more amazing Literacy Lab stories from Girls Inc. of Orange County. And don't forget, you are strong, smart, and bold. Bye.